Coming to you live from the Tino Studios in Minooka, Illinois. I'm your host, Bucky Shanks, and this is Tino Tonight. Welcome everybody to the 2021 season premiere of Tino Tonight. We have 2 weeks in the books, and normally that would conclude the non-conference schedule, but with the addition of a 17th game in the real NFL, that means we added a third non-conference game to Tino NCAA. Teams are jockeying a bit more than usual as the trades have seemed to be non-stop over the first 2 weeks of the season. I imagine things are going to be a little bit crazy as we approach the deadline. Before we move any further, I'd like to give a warm welcome to the newest members of the Tino NCAA coaching fraternity. John Cool is the new head coach in East Lansing and the third head coach in Michigan State history. We will see if he can bring some kind of stability to the program. We also welcome Joe Roth to the league as he now takes over for Cal. The Golden Bears parted ways with Troy Simpson after back-to-back bowl losses. The coach stated he had business to take care of, so he needed to move on. Well, the truth of the matter is, if he had taken care of business in the postseason, he might still be employed in Berkeley. But enough of that, let's jump into a Tino Tonight staple, the Squeak of the Week. The new leader out in Berkeley wasted no time making it on the national stage as he took his Golden Bears across the country for a date in Chapel Hill. The Bears and Tar Heels went blow for blow and put on a show for the fans at Keenan Memorial Stadium. Unfortunately for the Baby Blue faithful, Cal would win a nail-biter 1030.05 to 1025.20. The 4.85-point win is the 15th closest game in Tino history. It's a short but growing history. But history nonetheless. Head coach Joe Roth would pick up his first career win and get his team back to 500 at 1-1. Congrats on win number 1. Cal will look for win number 2 as they take on Notre Dame in week 3. As for North Carolina, they fell to 0-2 and look to get in the win column in week 3 as they take on Alabama. Next up, we're moving and shaking. Auburn kicked off the 2021 season literally as good as you could ask by beating the defending champs. The Tigers followed that up by beating number 25 Maryland. They will take on Clemson next in a battle of Tigers. Georgia beat number 24 Oklahoma State and followed that up with their annual dominance of Georgia Tech, making this 3 straight over the Yellow Jackets in the Peach State battle. Oklahoma is next up for the Bulldogs. Wisconsin has started off fast as they beat a very solid number 10 ranked Virginia Tech team and followed that up by beating the 22nd ranked Buffaloes. West Virginia is next up in week 3, but now we're going streaking.
We're going streaking! Yes! We're going streaking through the quad and into the gymnasium. Come on, bring your green hat. We're streaking! We're streaking! Woo! Woo!
What the hell are you doing?
We're streaking!
Oklahoma holds the overall record at 15 wins in a row. That looks to be safe for a while longer. Tennessee holds the current record for regular season wins in a row at 13 and counting. That's why I should have been ranked number 1. I've got the best team ever.
Shut up, bitch.
Baylor currently sits on 6 regular season wins in a row. On the wrong side of things, Iowa holds the record at 17 straight losses. NC State currently on a 6-game skid, and Alabama on a 4-game losing streak. And that brings us to our brand new top 25. Coming in at number 25, Kansas State 1-1. The Wildcats were ranked for the first time in school history last week as they sat at number 20. They were beaten by Notre Dame and slid to 25. They take on Michigan State this week. Number 24, Mississippi State 2-0. The Bulldogs start 2-0 for the first time in school history. They will look to make it 3 straight this week as they take on Arizona. Number 23, USC 1-1. The Trojans enter the top 25 for the first time in school history. After losing to Maryland in the season opener, USC took down number 13 Oklahoma in week 2. They look to continue their climb as they take on South Carolina in week 3. Number 22, Oklahoma 1-1. Speaking of Oklahoma, the Sooners have made some moves recently, acquiring Khalil Mack, DeForest Buckner, Leonard Williams, and Corey Littleton. The Sooner defense has been upgraded and comes in handy as they take on a moving and shaking Georgia team. Oklahoma will look for payback from a loss to these Bulldogs in Week 2 of the 2019 season. On a side note, head coach Ken Galland became the third coach in NCAA history to win 20 career games. Number 21, Miami 1-1. After beating Cal in Week 1, the Hurricanes lost to Kansas in Week 2. Week 3, they take on Oklahoma State in a rematch of the 2020 Orange Bowl where the Cowboys took home the trophy. Coming in at number 20, we got South Carolina 1-1. The Gamecocks are ranked for the first time since Week 3 of 2019. They lost to number 3 Baylor in Week 1, but they beat number 3 Clemson in Week 2. They take on another ranked opponent in Week 3 when they face number 23 USC. Number 19, Syracuse 1-1. The Orange beat Rutgers Week 1 before losing to number 6 Oregon in Week 2. They have been ranked since Week 4 of last season. They take on Washington State in Week 3. Number 18, Notre Dame 2-0. The Irish close out Week 2 with wins over Vanderbilt and number 20 Kansas State. They look to go 3-0 for the first time in school history if they can beat Cal next week. Number 17, Iowa State 1-1. The Cyclones rebounded from their loss to in-state rival Iowa by putting 1,200 plus on LSU. Big game in Week 3 with UCLA. Number 16, Georgia Tech 1-1. The Yellow Jackets took down Washington in Week 1, then lost to Georgia, which they seem to do every year. They take on Oregon State in Week 3, who they beat in the 2019 Rose Bowl. Number 15, Virginia Tech 1-1. After dropping the season opener to Wisconsin, the Hokies got back on track in a big way when they beat number 4 UCLA in Week 2. Colorado is up next. Number 14, Clemson 1-1. The Tigers beat Oregon State in Week 1 before dropping to South Carolina. Things won't be any easier in Week 3. They take on another Tiger team with arguably the nation's hottest squad, Auburn. Number 13, Wisconsin 2-0. The Badgers took down 2 ranked teams so far this year, as we saw earlier tonight. West Virginia is up next in Week 3 in a game the Badgers will be heavily favored. Wisconsin will also have revenge on their side as the Mountaineers beat Wisconsin in the 2020 Cotton Bowl. Number 12, UCLA 1-1. After losing to Virginia Tech last week, the Bruins find themselves in unfamiliar territory. They haven't been ranked outside the top 10 since Week 13 of 2019. They will have to get through Iowa State for a chance to rejoin the top 10. Number 11, Iowa 2-0. This is the highest the Hawkeyes have ever been ranked. Back in Week 5 of 2019, Iowa was 25th. Iowa holds the record for the longest losing streak at 17 games. But these aren't your daddy's Hawkeyes. The tanking is done. The team is ready to win now. Coach Jamie Lewis entered the 2021 season with a career 3-19 record. 2 wins later, and all of a sudden, nobody wants to see Iowa on the schedule. The Big Ten has been put on notice from Iowa. Number 10, Georgia 2-0. The Bulldogs enter the top 10 for the first time in school history. After taking out Oklahoma State Week 1, the Bulldogs took out Georgia Tech for the 3rd time in 3 years. They take on Oklahoma in Week 3, who they beat and were Oklahoma's only loss during the Sooners' 2019 national title run. Number 9, Arkansas 2-0. The Razorbacks are 2-0 for the first time in school history after wins over Michigan State and Purdue. Something about SEC teams beating Big Ten teams this season. The Hogs look to make it 3 straight overall and 3 straight over the Big Ten as they take on Michigan this week. Number 8, Auburn 2-0. The Tigers took out defending champion Nittany Lions Week 1, then beat Peter and the Turtles Week 2. Auburn is 2-0 for the first time in school history, and sitting at number 8 is the highest Tim Bingham has ever had his group. They will look to make it 3-0 versus Clemson in Week 3. Number 7, Florida State 1-1. The Seminoles lost a high-scoring affair Week 1 and beat the daylights out of Texas in Week 2. Cam and company will take on his biggest rival in Oregon, who beat Florida State in the Sweet 16 in 2019. Also rumored to be bad blood here due to an off-the-field financial situation. Number 6, Kansas 1-1. The Jayhawks seem to have football confused with basketball because this team is just always in the top 10. DJ Khaled has hitched his wagon to a good one here. The all I do I win. The what? The all I do is win slogan, Bucky. It fits here. Tyler has 24 career wins, which is tied for the most in the land. Kansas rebounded from their Week 1 shootout loss to Ohio State by beating Miami by 200. Nebraska is next on the 2021 Jayhawk Tour. Number 5, Penn State 1-1. The Nittany Lions rebounded from the Week 1 loss to Auburn by beating number 18 Washington. After going 3-8 in 2019, Penn State might have snuck up on some people as they went on to win the national title in 2020. Flip the page to 2021, and now they have the second biggest target on their back. Some of you might be asking yourself, who has the biggest target? Penn State gets LSU in Week 3. Number 4, Oregon 2-0. The Ducks are 2-0 for the first time since 2019. They went to the national title game that year. Huge game this week with number 7 Florida State in what is arguably the game of the week. Oregon is 1-0 head-to-head with Florida State beating them in 2019 in their run to the title game. Sadly, they are 0-1 in paying league fees to this week's opposing head coach. On a side note, head coach Jack Lang became the 4th coach in Tino history to win 20 games. Number 3, Ohio State 2-0. The Buckeyes took down Kansas week 1 and Wake Forest week 2. They get Vanderbilt this week in a game they will be heavily favored before they open Big Ten play in week 4. This is the first time Ohio State hasn't started the year 0-1. What that means remains to be seen. Number 2, Baylor 2-0. Lanny and the Bears start the year 2-0 after beating up a pair of SEC teams in South Carolina and Alabama. They look to remain perfect when they take on Wake Forest in week 3, a game Baylor will be favored. And number 1, Tennessee 2-0. Okay, cool. And this week's games of the week. Number 4, Oregon versus number 7, Florida State in a Hell in a Cell match. Number 8, Auburn versus number 14, Clemson in a battle for Tiger bragging rights. Number 10, Georgia versus number 22, Oklahoma in a battle of OGs. Number 12, UCLA versus number 17, Iowa State in a battle to get back to the top 10. Number 20, South Carolina versus number 23, USC in an unlikely ranked battle. These coaches have a combined 9 career wins. And that'll do it for this week's edition of Tino Tonight. For everybody here in Buckingham Palace, I'm your host, Bucky Shanks. Good night, everybody!
Come on, y'all, let's take a ride. Don't you say a word, just get inside. It's time to take you on another kind of trip. Cause you can't have to hop if you don't have to hit. Grab your with the extra. Close your eyes and hit the switch. But over to a place where everybody kick it, get after ticket. Ain't no blood, ain't no tripping, ain't no fools in the party said tripping. Everybody got a stack and it ain't no crap. And it really don't matter if you're white or black. I wanna take you there like the Staples singers. Put something in the tank and I know that I can bring it. If you can't take the heat, get your ass out the kitchen. We on a mission.